The Product Analytics PMUX Weekly Sync, August 2nd, 2023. The big topic for today is transition, and then the MVC and vision of the custom dashboard. You want to start with the transition issue? Anything you want to call out there that the team should know about?
Not necessarily. So I've tried to keep it kind of short-term focus, rather than dropping all of the UX issues that we've created.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you or anyone in the team have, strong thoughts about what we should be prioritizing, like feel free to chime in so I can kind of reorder. But yeah, this transition issue is going to be for the person kind of coming up and joining product analytics to replace me. So yeah, so if you want, their eyes on something or like that they have an idea of what's the top priorities, it's the issue to put
Okay.
this in.
Yeah, I think I listed out because we have a later meeting where I'll copy those priorities
Yeah.
over. So for me, I'm just gonna copy these and then share my screen so we can see them.
Yeah, I cannot open it for some reason, can you?
Open which one?
The issue.
Yeah, I have it open.
Oh, wait. Oh yeah, it's good. I don't know, for some reason it's not opening.
Cool. So for me, where we're headed next, where we need help on the roadmap is what we're working on now is the dashboard designer. Any
Yeah.
feedback during implementation. The next thing that we're working on is the usage quota. Again, any feedback during implementation. And then moving into visualization designer, any sort of help with the new flow. I don't think that we talked about new flow, but we hadn't wireframes or gotten into any sort of validation on that. So it'd be interesting to see as we let users use the existing flow, identifying the problems and seeing what the next flow should look like to make it easier to do things like filter or find the data you actually want. And then next-ish, for lack of a better term, is the billing work stream as we get closer to GA. I don't know that there's UX required there, but that's because I don't know what's required there. So that's what I'm calling it out as, hey, wait, we might need UX help here. And that's going to
Yeah.
immediately jump to the top of the priority list. Like any additional feature set beyond default dashboards is going to take a backseat to making sure that billing is rock solid. And then things that we could work on later that we talked about a little bit are funnel visualization, editor, improvements to the editor dashboard or the dashboard editor experience, where once you saved a dashboard, you go back in and make more changes. We touched primarily the creation flow, but there's a whole edit flow that we haven't looked at too much. I know that you did
Yeah.
in your initial scorecard, but that's as far as we got it. And then
Yeah.
data filters within those dashboards. So starting to think about which, like as we think about, do we apply filters for audience to things on behavior type dashboards, or you want to start to filter for the environment that this is deployed to if you're collecting metrics for multiple environments. User agent is one that we've already started to talk about. Other things like that, where the solutions that might solve for pain points customers have. So those are the big things that I'm thinking about from a roadmap perspective, implementation perspective, that we're going to need UX assistance with in the next 0 to
Okay.
6 to 12 months, even probably.
All right. Yeah, for sure. This sounds like big chunks of work. So I can, or you can, as you want. We can definitely add this to the issue so that there is a long-term plan as well, actually. So maybe we can have like a different table, um, to add all of these. And then in terms of prioritization, yeah, I mean, I'm curious to hear your thoughts, but like, I'm thinking visualization designer should go before the editing experience of the dashboard, maybe. And then the funnel part, what I'm thinking is basically the visualization designer and how to build visualization should be good before we introduce new option to create visualization. So the funnel, right?
Yeah.
So I would put it maybe higher than the funnel. And then yeah, usage quota, I think we talked about it, that is pretty critical before we launch. We really need it. So yeah, I guess though to me, like since visualization designer is one of the core feature, I would put it above, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that.
I mean, it's a core feature, but it's not what we're going to launch. It's not required for the GA launch.
Okay.
So we're going out the door. The required features are the default dashboards. Anything beyond that is great. And we'll keep building functionality, but that's the bare minimum that we're going to launch with. So that's
Okay.
ready to go.
All
Beyond
right.
that, we need to make sure that the billing and the usage quota stuff is set. And then any additional features are just extras and bonus for us.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So
Cool.
yeah, maybe the action item is just to add it.
Yeah, and the direction page and all the epics, everything, all the other artifacts should probably serve as our single source of truth, because there's going to be some lag between your last day and when we get somebody into the role, even at a coverage capacity, I'd imagine. And this will probably get out of date real fast. So we'll point them probably at direction page is your true single source of truth for what is next and why, because that's always the single source of truth for what is next and why. Cool.
Got it.
All right, well, we'll talk about this more in that transition meeting too, but good to talk through some of what's coming up for the team who's watching the recording later.
Sure.
Cool. Anything else there? Do you want to jump into the MVC and the vision for the custom dashboard creation?
We can jump on the MVC.
Let's do it.
Yep. Right. So yeah, so I think we're on track with basically having a set vision, maybe not like fully fleshed out in terms of, all of the flows, branching and the interaction, but at least like a good solid overview of where we want to go. And we have the MVC that is coming out of this. We've had like a few conversation in the design with the team. I guess one of the things that came up is the resizing option on the MVC, so the ability to resize the panel. Yeah, I'm wondering how at this specific stage of the journey, as in when you create a dashboard, like how critical it is to resize at that stage. Because we would definitely retain this feature for after when they want to edit their dashboard and keep it as it is. But I'm wondering if it's really necessary to have it in the MVC in the end, because the research doesn't necessarily show that there is a need for that. So yeah, so I'm just wondering if it's really critical at this stage.
We have it as part of the flow today, or part of the capability today, that you can resize those panels. So I'm fine with leaving it there. I think it makes more sense as I'm dropping visualizations in that they're not all the same size, that they're a size I can customize as I move them around.
Yeah. And the other thing about the resize is how do we do it? Because like in my mind, I think it was kind of important to not have it as like always visible on the panel when you have it, but to kind of trigger it, just like you trigger the edit mode on your dashboard. But the way it's built currently is that I think whenever you add a panel, you can resize it directly. So that's not in the design for now.
Let's see. Yeah, today, because you basically get an edit view. Sorry, I'm playing around with it, so I'm going to share my screen.
Yeah.
So I'm creating a new dashboard. And
yeah, exactly. And then you can resize it directly.
I can resize it vertically, but not horizontally.
Is it because you're like try on a wider screen? Yeah, now you should be able to,
yeah, there
right?
we go. Okay. So yeah, I can do that today. So this is basically what we've done, is kind of just expose the edit screen as the dashboard designer, with the ability to add things, and then we'll include the ability to remove them as an iteration on this. I don't save that. So yeah, it's the same experience as edit today, where you would have the resize. It's going to be a consistent experience for a user. When you add it in, it's the same as clicking the edit button, and then I can move it around.
Yep.
And we asked users to add one small panel in our validation. If we'd asked them to add a chart that had 100 days of data, do you think it would have been different?
That's a good question. Honestly, like, yeah, most likely if you have more elements, you might want to like tweak stuff. But at the same time, I'm also wondering, again, like, is it really necessary at this stage? Like, do you
Yeah,
just do it while you're creating, or do you do it after? You know, you just want to create your stuff and then you tinker with it, basically.
yeah.
Yeah, I thought we're gonna have to make a call on that and see how it goes.
I mean,
Because
it's not a one-way door. If we leave it there
yeah,
like it is today, we can always take it back out if it's confusing to users. If users
yeah,
don't give us feedback one way or the other, we can leave it as is. If we see usage of it or talk through it
yeah,
with people and we see that they're resizing.
yeah,
So I wanted to go back. You said I don't think we need it, or I don't think it should be there. I don't remember exactly what your words were, but tell me more
yeah.
about
So
why.
my original thought was, do we need it at this moment? Like, we definitely need it because we have it later on, right? But it's like,
Yeah,
is it really needed when you create something? I was wondering, because, and again, that's what you said. Also, like in the research, we had only one panel. If they had multiple, would that change? But yeah, I get a feeling that if, you know, when you create multiple visualization, we already order them for you on the the Canva, for like a better word, then you know people might not even need to recite stuff and they can do it later on. But at the same time, we could also like by having the feature teach them that they can do it later on.
yeah,
So yeah, that's the tricky thing also is the way we interact with it. Like for me, I'm really not a big fan of having everything up front. Like I
mhm,
think you need to layer stuff. So like what is the primary interaction? And then you surface this one and the rest should be underneath. And this is kind of what we were doing with our edit mode, right? Like when you're not in edit mode, you can't resize
yeah,
your panel. And that's what I wanted to kind of bring there. But right now the flow is not behaving this way. Right now it's like whenever you add something, you can resize it straight away
yeah,
because you're creating, so you're kind of editing at the same time. But
yeah. If we're going to give them ability to rearrange, I would also give you an ability to resize it so that it can be the way that you want it to be after you've added all of
yeah,
those panels. Because you can see all the panels in one spot that you could add, or all the visualizations. You can add all of them in, resize them, and rearrange them to the way that you want. Say, yep, that's pretty good for now, and then go look at it. I think it'd be a funky experience for a user to add a bunch of stuff, not necessarily in the order they want or the size that they want, and then have to go back and redo it. But
yeah,
we can learn that from releasing it with one or both or none, and then getting feedback from users. And we can run that in front of some users internally and say, hey, the dashboard creation is
yeah,
ready. We want you to go build a dashboard with these 4 panels on it. Go and give them wildly
yeah.
different sized panels and see how they do.
Yeah, I think that's another thing, and I thought I opened that issue, but I may have forgotten. But basically, the way we build our grid right now kind of lets you be a bit wild with the resizing option, and then things don't necessarily keep a certain like it's not like a what we call a masonry grid. Like it doesn't readjust too much, so you can create gaps basically in it. And if we were to fix this, I think just visually it would look a bit better. But that's something, yeah, for later, I guess. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily
That'll be
something
a
we want to do it
good
now. It's more
discussion for
polished.
later when we're polishing stuff up. Okay,
But
cool.
yeah. Okay, so then let's go with the current resizing options for this, and I'll update the design. And I believe that's all we need at the moment.
Yeah. I slimmed down the issues that were in the dashboard designer general functionality MVC. That is a really poorly worded epic this morning, so that it is really just the new flow. Jan's issue to add the ability to remove a panel
Hmm.
as part of that, because that's super annoying that I can add something that I didn't actually want there. And then the only way to remove it is to manually edit YAML. Let's
Yeah.
make that part of the flow. And those are the only two open issues that are left in that epic, because we had we had a duplicate for delete panel, and then we had our solution validation and the prototype in there. So I think once the new design is attached to the create flow, there might be a few more issues that spawn out of that, but all based around that initial really small use case that we got to. And then we can put the design with a bigger vision alongside the design that's in the existing epic around schema-driven customizable dashboards. That kind of shows lots of different things that are on a dashboard that could be created, so that we have the product analytics vision for that, in addition to the value stream vision for that.
Sounds good.
Cool. All right, man. You did great work on this. Super happy with where we ended up. And
Thanks.
It was a bit of a process to get through, but it was definitely a learning process of how do we do rapid validation. So that was good.
Yeah. I'm also happy with the result. I think we've done a good job to increase our confidence in it. And I mean, obviously, the truth will be there once we release it and people start getting used to it and use it on a daily basis.
Yeah.
But I think we can feel pretty confident about this.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the last thing that I want to get sorted out with the team is there's some error validation or displaying of errors in this epic that I think we'll want to move in to our MVC, just to make sure that if there is an error with a panel, that it's included in as we display a custom dashboard.
Yep.
Cool. All right, well, I think that's everything on our agenda, unless something snuck in while I wasn't looking. Cool. All right, well, we're gonna in the interim, after you've left us, Kevin, we're gonna keep this meeting so that the team and I can think on any sort of things that need to be done as far as like tweaks to design or implementation questions. And then when we get a new designer in, I think we'll cancel this and move those questions into the general team meeting, or kind of move it to more of an async process, more in line with what most other teams do at GitLab.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
All right. Well, thanks so much. I appreciate it. And I'll see you in some other calls, hopefully later this week.
Yep. All right. See you around.